Nintendo is having a hard time selling the Wii U. Of course, it's difficult to live up to the expectations created after the Nintendo Wii, but the Wii U didn't even remotely meet initial sales expectations. The Wii U needs to get games that are awesome and make you want to buy the console. We already have Super Mario 3D World and Mario Kart 8, but we need more. Maybe Nintendo has some surprises up its sleeve at this year's online video presentation. Yup, Nintendo's presentation is an online video. But back in the days, they made big shows like Sony and Microsoft. Let's have a look at Nintendo's E3 history, starting in 1995. In 1995, Nintendo announced it would postpone the Ultra 64 console, which became known as the Nintendo 64. However, the company did unveil the Virtual Boy. This is the little brother of devices like Oculus Rift. The Virtual Boy never became a commercial success. Big games at this first E3 event were the fighting game Killer Instinct, the legendary Earthbound game for the Super Nintendo, and Donkey Kong Country 2. 1 year later, Nintendo dominated the show floor with the Nintendo 64. At the center of the stage was not only the weird-shaped controller with the revolutionary analog stick, but also the adventure game Super Mario 64.
It's me, Mario!
The third edition of the E3 was all about software for the Nintendo 64. Big games were the flight action adventure game F-Zero X and the rareware adventure game Banjo-Kazooie. The big scoop, however, was the reveal of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. During the E3 1998, Nintendo showed the final version of Ocarina of Time and the Game Boy Color. Even though there were some other game reveals, one turned out to be the most significant: Pokémon. Nintendo announced it would bring Pokémon to the States, including an animation series and all kinds of merchandise. In 1999, Nintendo talked about its next-generation console with the working title Dolphin. On the software side, Nintendo still pushed for the Nintendo 64. Games like the shooter Perfect Dark and the fighting game Super Smash Bros. Were shown for the very first time. Surprising was a Nintendo 64 expansion pack that was required to play Donkey Kong 64.
Here we go. Performance for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap. As we take you through this monkey rap.
At the first E3 in the new millennium, Nintendo's presence was minimal. The company wanted to showcase the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube at their own event 2 months later. On the show floor, games like Conker's Bad Fur Day and The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask were playable. In 2001, Nintendo shifted all its focus towards the Nintendo GameCube. Nintendo announced the console, the price, and an early November release. Later on, the console will be delayed for 2 weeks.
Let me introduce you to our new baby. Like all babies, it's small. But it will make a lot of noise.
The Ghost Adventure Luigi's Mansion, the fighting game Super Smash Bros. Melee, the first Pikmin strategy game, and the first game in Sega's Super Monkey Ball series were among the games shown on the show floor. In 2002, Nintendo was all about the big software announcements. Shigeru Miyamoto showcased Super Mario Sunshine with a wireless Wavebird controller. Wireless controllers were incredibly novel 12 years ago. Besides the new Mario game for the GameCube, Nintendo showed the first Metroid Prime game and of course the long-awaited The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. The next year would be a big letdown. Games like Mario Kart Double Dash, Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga had all been announced prior to the convention. The only announcement at the E3 2003 press conference was Pac-Man Vs. Yeah, it was a boring year. 2004, however, was all about dropping bombs.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass, I'm about taking names, and we're about making games.
Nintendo showed games like Metroid Prime 2 and the rhythmic adventure game Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. This was also the year Nintendo revealed the Nintendo DS.
Well, the wait is over. This is Nintendo DS.
And Satoru Iwata hinted at the next console for Nintendo.
I want you to know that Nintendo is working on our next system, and that system will create a gaming revolution.
The biggest moment, however, was when Miyamoto came to the stage to reveal The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shigeru Miyamoto.
I'm not Link, but I do know him.
In the year following, Nintendo revealed more details about Twilight Princess. The company also introduced the Game Boy Micro, a miniature version of the Game Boy Advance. Undeniably, the biggest reveal, however, was the Revolution.
Who's your daddy?
Nintendo talked about backwards compatibility and the possibility to download classic games with an online store. Nintendo also mentioned games like Zelda, Mario, and Super Smash Bros. For the Revolution, but there was no mention of the motion controls just yet. Some months before the E3 of 2006, Nintendo revealed the motion controls for the new console and its new name, Wii. At the E3 press conference, it was once again all about the games, ranging from Wii Sports and Excite Truck to Metroid Prime 3, Corruption, and the wonderful Super Mario Galaxy. Nintendo also announced The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess would be a Nintendo Wii launch title. And because the Nintendo DS wasn't all that popular, Nintendo announced the DS Lite. The handheld was smaller and had a much better screen than its predecessor. By the time of the E3 2007, everybody at Nintendo was all smiles.
My name is Reggie, and I am happy.
It's easy to understand why, because both the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo Wii were a big success. The 2007 conference was all about the peripherals. The Wii Zapper was revealed along with the Wii Wheel. This also meant we would finally get to see Mario Kart Wii.
The last game we're featuring today takes our big lead in audience expansion and effectively laps the field. Wii Fit is it.
The biggest reveal was that of the Wii Balance Board. Even though the Balance Board and the Wii Fit software might have confused the hardcore gaming journalists, the mainstream audience went apeshit crazy. Nintendo sold millions of the Balance Board and its Wii Fit software.
ちょっとね、マシンのセッティングがおかしいみたいで、本当はこの赤い点が黄色いエリアの中にね、綺麗にこう上手なんで入ってるはずなんですけどね。
So it looks like the calibration is slightly off. You should have the red dot here in the yellow area. You're trying to maintain balance while doing the stretch.
Nintendo kept focusing on casual games at the E3 2008. Yes, sure, GTA Chinatown Wars was revealed for the Nintendo DS, but on the Nintendo Wii, we got things like Wii Sports Resort and the Wii Speak microphone to be used for Animal Crossing City Folk. Hilarious was the reveal of Wii Music. Its presentation was painful, while Miyamoto pranced around playing an imaginative saxophone together with a drummer called Ravi.
Please welcome gaming legend Shigeru Miyamoto.
"2009 was a big software year for Nintendo as it showed Wii U games like new Super Mario Bros. Wii and a sequel to Super Mario Galaxy. With Metroid the Other M, the company made its first non-first-person Metroid game in years. And for the Nintendo DS, there was a big hit with The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks and the puzzle adventure Scribblenauts. Nintendo also announced the Wii Vitality Sensor, a device that would sense the pulse of the player using it. It was the only time Nintendo ever talked about the technology, and the company officially cancelled it in 2013. Nintendo opened its 2010 press conference with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for the Nintendo Wii. The presentation was meant to solidify its hype, but technical difficulties made the game look like a buggy mess.
今度は
こうして構えます。そし
Okay.
て、あれ
Alright.
弓矢を構えます。そして
So
今
you,
度、ごめんなさい。
looks like we're having a little interference here.
誰かワイヤレスを使ってますか？
Somebody out there using wireless? Anybody?
リハーサルでは
The presentation was followed by Kid Icarus Uprising for the Nintendo 3DS. The Nintendo 3DS? Yes, Nintendo revealed the successor to the Nintendo DS a few weeks prior to the E3 convention, and everybody at the presentation got a chance to experience 3D without the need for glasses. In the next year, games like Luigi's Mansion 2 and the highly anticipated racing game Mario Kart 7 were announced for the Nintendo 3DS. The highlight of the E3 2011, however, was the reveal of the Wii U. Nintendo showed its Wii U gamepad controller, along with some simple games and a Zelda HD demo. Nintendo was specifically proud of its third-party support, with games like Aliens Colonial Marines, Assassin's Creed, and Batman. In 2012, Nintendo showed the final version of its Wii U gamepad. The company also revealed online features, video partnerships with companies like Netflix, and the online Miiverse community. Nintendo also showed its Wii U software lineup with titles like new Super Mario Bros. U, the long-awaited strategy adventure Pikmin 3, and third-party games like LEGO City Undercover and Zombie U. Last year was the first time Nintendo didn't host a press conference. In an online video presentation, the Japanese gaming company showed games like Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Wii U, Super Mario 3D World for Wii U, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart 8, and 2 Zelda games, A Link Between Worlds for the 3DS and The Wind Waker HD for Wii U. Now we're 1 year further. The Wii U is not selling well and Nintendo needs to turn things around in their favor. Once again, Nintendo will not host a press conference, but it hosts an online video presentation. The reveal of the first new Zelda title could give Nintendo a boost. Nintendo will unveil its plans on June 10th, and we will cover everything.